I know that song. Last time I heard that song, Steve Keogh was dancing at the corner of Bethel and Hotel Street. It was awesome sauce. Unbelievable. But now in studio, speaking of Steve Keogh, a very good morning to the SHOPO Hour. I'm sorry, I did not show any video, as you asked.
I wouldn't mind if you did, though, Rick. It's okay.
No, I'm not sure you do. Did something happen to... Oh, you're on the other one. Try again. Okay. That's all right. No, that's good.
If you showed the video, Rick, I wouldn't mind. It's okay. Always happy to be here with your listeners, Rick. Happy and grateful. Good morning. Good morning.
Brother Nick is going, I already downloaded and shared, so it's out in the public.
I actually have the rights to it. Yeah, fully. But Steve will get a cut, don't worry.
Yeah, what are the royalties on a Steve?
Did I have any background dancers when I was doing that? It was Bethel and what you said?
Bethel and Hotel.
We could imagine the background entertainment that would be behind me doing that, right?
Oh, we don't have to imagine.
It was nighttime too, right?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Okay.
But there were flashlights and small burning fires nearby, so we're all good.
Right.
Now that we've established our weekend, I'd like to invite everybody to join us. SHOPO Hour is underway. And Brother Nick, I know we occasionally do this, but remind us the mission of SHOPO and how it's accomplished.
SHOPO is a labor advocacy organization for police officers in all 4 counties throughout the state. We represent officers Kauai, the Big Island, Honolulu, and Maui. We're comprised of a state board and individual chapters on each island. We have probably anywhere between 75 and 100 union officials combined, maybe even more than that. Mm-hmm. A contract of 57 articles covering everything from recognition to overtime to internal investigations and discipline. Mm-hmm. We negotiate with the employers for wages. We cover conditions of work and also the hours that we work.
Gotcha. Thank you for that very much. Is membership mandatory?
Membership is encouraged, but due to changes in federal law, it is not mandatory.
Okay. And how does one become apprised of SHOPO upon entering and serving on HPD?
SHOPO is allowed a block of instruction within the first couple of days of each recruit class in each county where we introduce ourselves and we give members the opportunity to join. Of course, there's monthly dues involved in joining the union, but those monthly dues entitle you to representation for administrative investigations. We have our legal defense fund if there's an on-duty or course and scope type of situation that requires legal representation. Also, we have various insurance benefits and so on.
I love that. Thank you very much. It's always good to kind of reestablish as we continue. We've been together now, my goodness, are we going on 4 years? Is that how long it is? 4 or 5? It was right post-COVID.
Was it 21?
22, I think.
21, 22?
I
still remember the call that kind of kicked things off where you and Mark had a rapport friendship, and Mark had reached out to me when I was traveling, and we just talked about it, and then we all got connected and brought Bobby in, and here we are. Wow.
No, I appreciate it very much that we're here. And the reminder of the mission. Go ahead, Steve.
No, we appreciate it, Rick. Coming on your program, we've said it before, it gives myself, Nick, and Bobby when he's here, and others, and it gives a voice to the men and women that wear the uniform. I think it humanizes the badge a lot, and it gives us the opportunity to take your questions and your audience's questions regarding all things top of mind related to public safety. Right. And I feel honored to be here. I know Nick does too, and we give open and honest and direct answers. And like I said, hopefully at the end of the program, people that listen will have better understanding maybe of the job we do, and hopefully feel a little bit more connected to the men and women that serve in the 4 counties.
Just a very quick story. Attended the Memorial Day ceremony on Monday at Punch Bowl. And there was a great presence of officers at the event. As you know, I like to just walk up and introduce myself, and I did so with an officer that was stationed. And it was interesting because as I approached, the officer was already preparing. It was all, my interpretation was, okay, what have I got here? Anticipating maybe something critical or what have you. And when I walked up and I said, "Hi, my name is Rick, and I just would like to thank you for serving us, protecting us, and for what you do." Immediately, there was such a change in demeanor. Not a sense of relief, but it was like, wow, goodness. And he expressed great appreciation. And I always urge my friends listening, please do this as well. It means I can sense a great deal. It's not about attaboys, it's about expressing what you're doing here in uniform and what all that entails. We appreciate you.
I'm glad you did that, Rick. And we are thankful that you put out that message, because community support is essential, I think, for the men and women that wear the uniform. And it's essential, I think, in to have for a police department in all the counties to have that relationship with the community. Mm-hmm. You know, the officers in the community, we live and work in the community, and you know, who calls the police when they're having a good day? Nobody. Right. So if you can go up and talk to a street cop that's in uniform saying, "Hey," I mean, who doesn't like that, right?
Exactly.
Who doesn't like a compliment, right? Who doesn't like a compliment?
And I think it should be expressed more and more and more. And so thank you for indulging me in sharing.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, for just a moment. Okay, let's jump in. There's a lot on the agenda, boys.
Oh, yeah.
The Honolulu City Council will vote Wednesday on Resolution 160 to create a task force aimed at addressing 456 officer vacancies at HPD. Councilmember Andrea Tupola introduced the reso, calling the staffing shortage a crisis. The Council's Public Safety Committee supports adopting the resolution. There are more details in this, but there is a 9-member task force, and SHOPO is cited as a member of this task force, along with the Mayor's Office, Police Commission, HPD administration, and more. We have discussed almost since the beginning of our time together, but the numbers are not improving, and help me understand, it appears that these vacancies are growing. Your thoughts about the task force, what the intent is, what the role of SHOPO will play, and any other commentary on where we are today with the R word, recruitment. Brother Nick?
Thank you. So I encourage this task force wholeheartedly. If you were to ask me what word would you say to kind of describe it, the situation, I would say good, followed by thank you. It's about time. Very appreciative that the City Council is listening to everything that we're saying. Obviously, they're listening to the comments here, our testimony at City Council, our testimony to the Police Commission, and it's working. Goes without saying that we have this problem. The model is following exactly what the union predicted when we gave our presentation to the Police Commission last March and revealed that information as well to the media outlets. Our role will hopefully be one of cutting through the fog, if that makes sense. If I were to be asked to be on that panel, I would be essentially very candid, not only as a union official, but also as a line officer, in revealing what the history of the situation is, how it's built up to it, what the current problem is, what the projected trend will be, and grasp an opportunity to actually work with a group of city officials who really can make a difference in this situation.
Has there been a ongoing, let me start here, has there been any conversation precisely on this issue with HPD administration to where you and the administration sit across the table and say, listen, what can we do? What makes sense from an administrative standpoint and a rank and file standpoint?
Yes, there has. Even as recently as I believe maybe within about 3 or 4 weeks ago. A little foggy memory there, but we did have a sit down with upper administration on these issues.
Okay.
I would like to have more. I think it should be a regular conversation. Unfortunately, from my experience, these interactions tend to be talking about what we're doing and not necessarily thinking about the future or coming up with new ideas or new plans. So if there is to be a task force, this needs to be something that happens on a very consistent basis. I know it's difficult for everybody to find the time to do it, but I would say it has to be done every week. There has to be some type of meeting. There has to be some type of check-in. And we need to go beyond out-of-the-box thinking here, like way beyond it. I think some of the ideas or models that we're using in Honolulu specifically are following mainland trends, but we tend to be kind of behind the ball as well. I think that our focus on new hires is good, but I'm going to say it one more time. I think our focus on keeping the people that are in the mid-range or ready to retire really, really needs to be the crux of this more than anything else. I would also say that in the task force, if Honolulu Police Department does have a seat in there, I'm not too sure if they do or they don't, but they do need to be prepared. My suggestion, they do need to be prepared to answer some very serious questions about where is money being spent, why is it so difficult to reallocate, why are there so many roadblocks or excuses for not being able to take money from one silo to another silo if you need it, and why is it that over a 4-year period, the police commission, not the police commission, the city council has been very open about steadily increasing the budget, from roughly 250 million to roughly 350 million. And yet large chunks of that increase keep getting given back every year with the excuse of, we just really couldn't spend it, quote unquote.
Did I see a recent headline that stated that, yes, there has been another return of revenue from HPD back to the coffers?
I am referencing a City Beat article, that I believe came out over the weekend.
Okay, then that's the same one.
Civil Beat, pardon me.
Civil Beat, yeah. Brother Steve?
Andrea Topola is pretty impressive, isn't she? I was happy. I've been really happy with her being vocal. And as a leader within this community and having I think the ability to do something about it and rally the troops, it is a crisis. And there's questions that need to be answered. And, Rick, if people can come together with ideas that make sense and can get us in a position where we can put some concrete things down that are going to help with retention, that are going to help with recruitment, I think it's only going to be positive. And because if we don't acknowledge that there's something that needs to change in what we're doing, then we're just going to keep doing the same thing. And we don't want to do that. And Nick and I were pretty passionate the last time we were on your show about highlighting things. So we're looking forward to the opportunity to work with those involved. And hopefully together good things will be able to come.
So this Wednesday, that is the vote on this reso. And we'll take a look and see if it moves forward and follow up in our conversations.
Absolutely.
Regarding this. It is already 7:25 in the morning. It is the SHOPO Hour, and always appreciate time with our brothers in studio. Lawsuit has been filed by the ACLU. This in regard to arrests being made of those for DUI who are not drunk, to paraphrase. The administration of HPD has been cited. I believe Chief Joe was named, but also officers specifically were named in this action. Love to get your take on, first of all, the premise of the story is that HPD officers are arresting individuals who prove to be not under the influence, and the lawsuit effectuated against officers. You mentioned a legal fund earlier. Would that be an appropriate utilization of that fund if the officers require additional legal help?
Use of the legal fund, it could be.
Okay.
This being an ACLU lawsuit, I'm not too sure if it's going to apply in that situation. Typically, from my experience, these type of blanket lawsuits are more towards the organization naming officers as specific examples of what are perceived violations of civil rights. We'll have to navigate that as this unfolds. It's a big story, and as I've read it in the media, I've seen kind of broad general terms being used. A lot of the terms are a BAC of 0, not intoxicated, could not prove intoxication, so on and so forth. There are still explanations in certain situations for people who are arrested for being suspected of being under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and no samples are obtained from them. And often when the phrase is used, the BAC was 0, it's not followed up with, however, the person refused to give a blood or urine sample, and we were unable to screen for other toxins that are related to, not toxins, but other measurable amounts of things like marijuana, some type of stimulant, some type of hallucinogen, something like that. Also, I think that the Honolulu Police Department hasn't really given a full, concise response to it, and I can't speak for the department in that respect. I would say as a union official, I feel like our officers are really a punching bag right now. And I'd like to see the department, if there is some type of response that legitimizes some of the actions of the arrests, or at least backs up the probable cause leading to the arrest, I'd like to see the department come out and actually start swinging on that one. I think a lot of officers would. It's not easy to be trained in standardized field sobriety testing or drug recognition expert training. It's very difficult, right? And each officer in the department, when they're in recruit phase and they go through SFST training, we're talking about days of blocks of instruction with several separate individual tests within that you have to pass in order to be certified in standardized field sobriety testing. It's not an easy thing. It's a lot to memorize. Remembering the cadence on how to put somebody through, the eye test, the one leg stand, and the walk and turn. It's a script that you have to keep going. If you asked me to do it right now, I'd have to remember it completely, and I haven't done it in some time. But what I mean to say is it's a lot of training. It's methodology. It gives you cues enough to make decisions. And I feel that if our officers had enough cues to make decisions, but there are other explanations for why the case wasn't made in follow-through, then I think our department needs to come out and do a better job of defending the officers when they did the right things to lead up to those actions.
Steve, your thoughts?
I don't know. It's a hell of a sensational headline, isn't it, Rick? Officers arrest people, incorrectly, whatever. We need more facts to come out. And first of all, Nick handled that question beautifully. He works within the traffic division, so I think he's spot on the guy for answering that question. Here's my take on it. It certainly catches headlines. The optics aren't good. This is the same ACLU that hamstringed the city and Mayor Rick and the police department to navigate the homeless issues that we're having that affect everybody that pays taxes and wants to live in a great community, right? This is that same ACLU that wanted to pitch that flag. I would say to your listeners, Rick, let's wait, and to Nick's point, let's see what HPD leadership has to say. Let's see what comes out in the wash. It goes without saying that as a labor union, we would not condone we wouldn't condone that in any capacity, but let's wait till more facts come out. And I think we all could agree that sensationalized headlines get people's attention, and it doesn't necessarily mean any of that is too accurate.
Well, one of it's beyond the headline on this story.
Yeah.
Because emanating were allegations that there is a quota and that this is purposefully done, directed by the administration, that officers must reach a certain number because there are financial implications associated with a higher number of DUI arrests. Now, this is contained within the television news report. I don't recall that in the print reports. However, that's in the public ether.
I'd like to make a comment. So I think those are broad statements as well, and they're really easy to make. I'm not aware of any such things whatsoever. I'll say that again. I do not know that those things exist. I don't think they do. And I'd like to see the department respond to that as well.
It is 7:32. Thank you for because it's very top of mind.
Rick, it's a fair question, and I'm sure your listeners have seen it, so why not dive into a little bit on the show?
Appreciate it very much. Yeah. We're already halfway through. I'm opening up the phone lines right now at 521-8383. Brother Steve, Brother Nick of SHOPO in studio with us. Heart goes out to Brother Bobby as always, but also thanking you for being a part of the program. Give us a call, 521-8383. More topicality ahead on the SHOPO.
It's the SHOPO Hour on News Radio 830 KHVH.
Once again, we welcome you back. It is the SHOPO Hour, heard exclusively on News Radio 830 KHVH. We have Brother Steve, Brother Nick, who are in studio with us today. And if you'd like to be a part of the program, 521-8383. Let's go to the phones and take your calls. And gentlemen are getting prepped with the cans, as we call them. But if you'd like to join us, 521-8383. All right, let's head over downtown Honolulu. Detroit joins us. Detroit, thank you for your call, and a very good morning.
I just got to say, you guys ain't very good. You're outstanding. But I heard something up, I think it was Michigan, where they used marijuana and alcohol as two different tests, or two different ways to test, like the chief was saying. They couldn't put marijuana in the same category as alcohol, which they're both drugs, but there were, it was similar. But Michigan, as I guess a groundbreaker or whatever, a state that figures these things out. They had a different kind of, they did everything. They found out that marijuana drivers drove better than drunk drivers, but there was a difference where they couldn't mix alcohol with drugs, when they give a test. But it wasn't a test. It was something else. Like the chief was saying, it was different parameters.
Yeah, the difference. Thank you for the call, Detroit. Chief is with us every other Thursday. But Brother Nick, Brother Steve, the differentiation between drunk and drug influenced drivers and the detection thereof.
From a personal opinion, I think the impairment level is the same, to be honest with you. I'm not aware of any studies that show that marijuana has less of an ability to impair you as a driver. Now, there are different tests that are used to determine what's affecting somebody who's impaired. The standardized field sobriety test is the first step. However, if an officer feels that they're getting results from the SFST that show impairment, but they're not getting results that show alcohol, the drug recognition expert testing is the second phase. It's the second step of it. All along the way, I'd like to point out that an operator who is suspected of being impaired has the right to refuse submitting to any testing of any kind, which can be a problem as well for officers who see indicia of impairment, signs and symptoms, cues and clues, but at the same time are having the person or the suspect is unwilling to participate in the tests, in which case the officers do have to make a decision. Am I going to exercise my authority to remove this person who I do believe is impaired from the roadway to prevent casualty or damage to property, or am I going to let this person continue to drive or find some other alternative? And see, these are some of the answers that I think the Honolulu Police Department should try and educate the public on this one with, because of the broad statements that are being used. And, it's just painted this picture that officers are either, one, incompetent, or two know what they're doing, but they're trying to meet these suspected quotas that you spoke about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that's the case at all. I'm going to say it. I don't.
Yes. Steve?
Rick, just for your listeners, lot to unpack. Let me start with this. All officers within Honolulu PD, I know this, receive standard field sobriety training. They receive it in recruit school, so the officers have a basic proficiency to do that. In the course of their career, Rick, they can participate in further advanced training that makes them even more proficient in the field sobriety testing that's given. Officers that work within the traffic division have a very robust training curriculum regarding this. Nick alluded to something called a DRE, or a drug recognition expert. This is an officer that is recognized to observe impairment with things other than alcohol. So there is an extensive amount of training that goes into officers. They all, from recruit school on up, it's to detect alcohol impairment or some type of impairment. And then we have the drug recognition experts that get involved. And again, I think when we stay quiet, it doesn't give the community a sense of reassurance. Mm-hmm. And when these articles came out from on the news about the ACLU suing us and whatnot, let's not be quiet. Let's try to get ahead of that as much as we can, and because I think staying quiet with these things just lets them snowball, and then people can make opinions. People are going to have opinions either way, but I think at least give them something else to consider, correct?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Good job. 7:44 in the morning. Thank you, Detroit, for your call. I want to shift over the announcement of the search of a new Kauai Police Department chief. If you wouldn't mind, a brief summary of the story and where we are today.
So I think it came up. So outgoing Chief Todd Raybuck had made a public announcement stating that he was going to be leaving the Kauai Police Department and going to do retiring or whatever he described it. But what was unique about his announcement is he did not give an end date. It's my understanding now that he has given a closing date of, I believe it's sometime this month, possibly the end of the month. Mm-hmm. And I know that the Kauai Police Department, because I saw it, they actually did it old school. They put an ad for the police chief in the newspaper. Mm-hmm. Do I think could there be candidates that read the news on Kauai that want to apply to that position? Sure. Do I think there's going to be some people applying from other places? Let's hope so, just because I think it's good to have some competition. I know that, and I'm sorry his name escapes me, the interim chief on Kauai that's going to be stepping in. I know he's well-respected and well-liked by the membership over on Kauai. And again, I apologize. I can't think of his name offhand. But I think we've taken this position, Rick, that I think the membership and the community needed to have an end date. When you have a leader of an agency kind of put out a statement that I'm leaving, but I don't know when yet. That kind of creates a little bit of ambiguity. We wish outgoing Chief Raybuck the best, and we look forward to our membership on Kauai getting a new leader. And obviously, SHOPO is going to be more than willing to work with new leadership on Kauai to benefit not only our members but the community.
We're already at the bottom of the hour. Not bottom, a quarter past. 3/4 past. Listen, like I said, I don't do math. It is 7:46 in the morning. Let's go to the phones before I take the final break for primetime traffic. 7:46, Mike Kahala. Thank you, Mike, for your call. The SHOPO Hour. Good morning.
Good morning, Rick, and good morning to your guests.
Morning.
There is some information I looked up online, and I don't know if it's true or not, but in Germany, they use a monitor. And anytime they suspect a under the influence driver, or they pull over, they use what is typically what a diabetic would use to test their glucose. You just take your finger out, they prick it, and the blood is read right there on the monitor. And it can detect drugs, it can detect alcohol, or even some false possible test, negative, positive, in other words. But I've heard that that's been very useful for them in Germany, and I wonder if the U.S. here in our country are looking into that possible type of testing, and people should not be able to say you cannot take the test because it's not painful. It's very quick, and diabetics use their monitors all the time, daily.
Okay. We appreciate the call, the contribution. Replies, gentlemen. Brother Nick, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you for that. So, interesting point. I've been told as well in certain countries in Europe that if you're involved in a motor vehicle collision, there's an automatic test for drugs or alcohol. It doesn't matter if the officers or responders at the scene have any indicia from you whatsoever. You're just getting tested. Bottom line, that's it. Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with the test that the caller is referring to. However, I can tell you that I do feel that it would be interesting for this county and this state to explore other options of how to test people for alcohol or drugs when they're driving or in collisions. And I would also encourage the public and even the ACLU to try and explore what the differences are between all four counties as far as what tests are used, where the tests are sent for laboratory analysis, and how the prosecutors in all four counties accept those tests or don't. It's been my experience that often in Honolulu, you'll have traffic court prosecutors who like or don't like certain things or ways to do things that Maui uses all the time. And that could be one of the stumbling blocks that we're hitting here in Honolulu, is that maybe some of these cases aren't being accepted for prosecution, not necessarily because there's a suggestion or a hint of officer impropriety or that the person really wasn't drunk, but perhaps there are other factors there in how these tests are performed or what the person who is suspected of being drunk did or refusing these tests or so on, where the prosecutors in Honolulu go, I don't really want this one. I'm just going to let it go. And I'd like to say they have the final say in these things. If the case doesn't add up perfectly the way that an individual prosecutor, and I will say individual because it's on a case-by-case basis, if they don't like it, they can just say, well, we're letting it go. And it's as simple as that.
If you're a car enthusiast and you start talking about Germany, my head goes right to the Autobahn. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it was years ago, I was in France. How's this? The drivers that drive in certain European countries, I think their driving training curriculum is way more advanced than ours. I've heard it from many people. You're able to go to Germany, get on the Autobahn, Rick, and there's no speed limit.
That's right.
I mean, for most Americans, that's like, wow,
heaven.
When can we go? So I would think, Rick, there would need to be really a system to hold people accountable. If they're given the freedoms to drive at whatever speed they feel is appropriate or whatever their car is capable of doing, then yeah. A kind of an invasive test roadside of getting your blood taken right then and there from a cop is probably the trade-off to be able to say, yeah, I'm going to take my 911 Turbo S and do 200 miles an hour in lane number 1. You know what I mean? I think that's a trade-off. And Mike, again, thanks for calling. Thanks for your participation. But impaired drivers shouldn't be on the road, and if Germany is taking roadside blood from people, it's probably because they let people drive on their freeways with no speed limit.
See, I appreciate what Nick had mentioned as well. Standardize.
Yeah.
And let's just stop getting into these individual subjective determinations of what's best for us and what's wrong for you and all this. Somebody have the guts to come out, here's a tech, here's the process, do it. Done. We don't have to squibble around and work with the prosecutors. What do you need to make your case?
If you're a car guy and there's no speed limits on the freeway, sure, take my blood, pull me over.
Yeah.
You want to prick my finger, officer, and then I can be on my way and I'll get back up to 170 miles an hour in Rick Hamada's 2-seater Jaguar. Okay, great.
Yeah. I will say, I think, and this is going to sound a little strange, I think you can appreciate the ACLU lawsuit because it is stimulating a conversation about this situation. And I do think there needs to be a lot of talk within Honolulu and the other 4 counties as well about how to handle DUI cases, because I do see irregularities between all 4 counties, and big ones, right down to search warrants and how we take samples from people in collisions, which Honolulu County has been behind forever. We're trying a pilot program now, but we're still very much behind compared to Maui. So there may be some benefits coming out of this. I still support the officers who are accused of violating the civil rights. I'm not going to concede to that. I stand firm on that one. But I do believe that this is a good opportunity for us to have some really good conversations about how we do this.
7:52. It is the SHOPO Hour. Lines open. 521-8383. Peter is in Honolulu. Peter, our final call for this hour. And I thank you for taking the time, and you're on with both Nick and Steve of SHOPO. Good morning, Peter.
Yes, good morning. My comment is for the police chief, and it relates to the concealed carry law that we have in each county. I am very upset because why can't they make a law or for the whole state? Now you have to get a concealed carry license in each county. On the mainland, there's a department in the state that handles all of the concealed carry requirements.
Okay. Appreciate it very much. Sorry, time elements, but Peter, thank you for your call. Gentlemen, a brief address to Peter's thoughts.
I have a personal opinion. It's just a personal one as a union official. I think that the idea of concealed carry in this state is popular in certain areas and still unpopular in other ones. I have a feeling that it's unpopular amongst quite a bit of politicians. And on the county level, they'd rather have the option to be able to still restrict it. And that's why you have individual counties coming up with individual regulations.
I don't know. I'm listening to Peter going, I see where he's coming from. You know, you have to get again, it's the county's prerogative, but yeah, Peter, I'm with you. It would make sense if it was a state thing. But then again, who knows? Maybe it would drag on even longer for you guys to get your concealed carry. Maybe it's better if you do it at the county level. Maybe the process is a little bit sped up, but I can certainly see where he's coming from, and make sure you call in and talk to the chief or his representative on Thursday with the program.
Appreciate it, Peter. Thank you for taking the time. Great question. We have just about a minute and a half remaining. I'm going to turn it over to Brother Nick for some thoughts before we go.
Thank you. I appreciate the conversations that we have here. Steve has said it several times. We never come in fully prepared with what's going on here. We kind of have an idea. Often the conversations go in a completely different direction than I'm ready for. But I sure do appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you to the listeners, to the people who called today. Very good questions.
Thank you very much, Nick. Steve?
No, just want to remind the public that thanks to the hard work of the men and women in the Honolulu Police Department, that there were suspects arrested in the Makaha shooting. Mm-hmm. We've come on the show many times and said that HPD detectives, the plainclothes units, work tirelessly to keep the community safe. And I just want to recognize, the hard work that they did, because suspects are in custody. They'll get their day in court, but at least there were arrests made.
And on that note, I want to thank you both, brothers, very much for being with us today. Can't wait till the next time, and sending aloha out to Brother Bobby. But thank you so very much.